Football is a physically demanding sport, and some hits are tougher than others. Discover the worst injuries in the NFL. Remember to subscribe to Go to Football for more similar content. Let's start our journey with one of the most gruesome injuries ever seen on a football field. Joe Theismann's injury. Theismann was a great quarterback, winning the Super Bowl with his Redskins in '83 and earning the MVP award in the final. But today we'll talk about an episode that marked his career. During the game between the Redskins and Giants on November 18, 1985, the Redskins quarterback was hit hard by Giants linebacker Lawrence Taylor. The players on the field and Taylor himself immediately realized the seriousness of the situation. Joe Theismann remained on the ground. It was a chaotic few moments, and Taylor was the one to call for medical assistance. What followed was one of the most devastating scenes in NFL history. The Redskins quarterback suffered a compound fracture of his right tibia and fibula, requiring a series of operations. Following the injury, Theismann was forced to end his professional career, from one Redskins player to another, from Theismann to Alex Smith. Smith, quarterback of the Washington Redskins, suffered an injury similar to Theismann's during a game against the Houston Texans. The game was proceeding normally, but in the third quarter, while attempting a throw, Smith was hit hard and fell to the ground, sending shivers through the stadium. The situation was dramatic. The images speak for themselves. Smith had suffered a serious fracture of his tibia and fibula. He underwent several surgeries, and at first there was even a possibility of amputating his leg, but due to a series of medical complications, Smith was able to recover. His rehabilitation was long and difficult. After a long absence from the field, Smith returned to play in the 2020 season, but only in limited games. Johnny Knox. In 2011, he led the Bears in receiving and finished second in the NFL in yards per reception. But just before the end of the 2011 season, Knox suffered a terrible injury. During the game against the Seahawks, Anthony Hargrove collided head-on with Knox while attempting to recover a fumble. Knox suffered a hard hit and was stretchered off the field and taken to the hospital, where doctors discovered a fracture in several vertebrae. Knox underwent immediate surgery to repair the fracture. The medical report described the injury as very serious. The consequences of the injury were devastating for Knox's career. He was unable to play for the entire following season, and after attempting to return to the field in 2013, decided to retire from the sport due to complications caused by the injury. Napoleon McCallum played for the Raiders from '86 to '94. His career was prematurely cut short in '94 during a Monday Night Football game between the Raiders and the San Francisco 49ers. The game was intense and the two teams were battling it out when an incident occurred that would make this game tragically memorable. McCallum's injury. 49ers linebacker Ken Norton Jr. tackled him, causing his left leg to become stuck in the ground and his knee to bend unnaturally. McCallum suffered a complete hyperextension of his left knee, almost at a right angle. This caused an artery to rupture in his left knee, and he tore 3 ligaments, his calf muscle, and the knee tendon off the bone, as well as suffering nerve damage in the knee. Everyone hoped to see McCallum back on the field after a long rehabilitation, but doctors dampened their enthusiasm, saying that he would never be able to play again. Kevin Everett, tight end for the Buffalo Bills in 2007, had a long and challenging road to rehabilitation after numerous injuries. But it was during a game against the Denver Broncos that his life changed forever. While trying to tackle Dominic Hickson, Everett took a hard hit to the neck and fell to the ground, unable to move. Fans and staff were confused and concerned, and Everett told the medical team that he couldn't feel anything from his shoulders down. After being rushed to the hospital, doctors confirmed a serious spinal cord injury that caused a complete paralysis from his shoulders down. The odds of ever walking again were low, and after emergency surgery, doctors gave him little hope. Today, he focuses on his motivational speaking career and raising awareness for spinal cord injuries. Just like Kevin Everett, Ryan Shazier also experienced the same fear. He was selected by the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round of the 2014 NFL Draft as the 15th overall pick, and was one of the most promising young talents of that draft. Shazier continued to demonstrate his value season after season, concluding the 2016 season with 87 combined tackles, 9 pass deflections, 3 sacks, and 3 interceptions in 12 starts and 13 games. His career seemed to be taking off, but things don't always go as planned. In 2017, during a game against the Cincinnati Bengals, Shazier took a hard hit and fell to the ground, touching his back and face in obvious pain. Medical staff intervened and rushed him to the hospital, where he underwent emergency surgery for a serious spinal cord injury that posed a significant threat to his career. Although he has made considerable progress in his rehabilitation, relearning to walk and run, the injury ultimately ended his career, and he announced his retirement in 2020. Reggie Brown, the promising linebacker for the Lions, suffered a similar fate. He was selected as the 17th overall pick in the 1996 NFL Draft, and his career showed much promise. However, his career came to an abrupt halt during his second year in the league. During a game between the Lions and Jets, while trying to tackle Jets halfback Adrian Murrell, he collided with a teammate and fell to the ground, remaining motionless for 17 minutes and briefly losing consciousness. CPR saved his life, and emergency surgery prevented him from being confined to a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Brown suffered a serious spinal cord injury that caused a temporary paralysis from the neck down. He spent several months in hospitals and rehabilitation, and although he partially regained sensation and motor function in his arms and legs, he was no longer able to play professional football, retiring from the NFL in 1998. Let's now talk about an injury that could have ended the career of a future NFL player, but failed to stop the ambition of Willis McGahee. McGahee was a promising running back for the Miami Hurricanes. During a game in the 2003 BCS National Championship, he suffered a knee injury, being hit with a tackle to the leg during the game's first quarter, causing a severe knee injury that took months to heal. The diagnosis revealed that McGahee had suffered a torn anterior and medial cruciate ligament in his right knee, as well as a torn medial collateral ligament and meniscus damage. The injury jeopardized McGahee's career, and he had to undergo surgery and a lengthy rehabilitation period to regain the necessary fitness and strength to play again. Despite the injury, McGahee was selected as the 23rd overall pick in the 2003 NFL Draft by the Buffalo Bills. He spent 10 years in the NFL playing for the Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens, Denver Broncos, and Indianapolis Colts. Allen Hearns, starting as an undrafted player, quickly made a name for himself after signing a pre-contract with the Jaguars. He immediately became a starter in his first season and made a striking impact. Hearns scored 2 touchdowns on his first 2 receptions in the game against the Eagles. He led the Jaguars in receiving yards, 677, and touchdown receptions, 6, in his rookie season, playing in all 16 games and starting in 8. He later went on to play for the Cowboys, helping them reach the playoffs in 2018. However, during a playoff game against the Seahawks, Hearns suffered a severe ankle dislocation and a fractured tibia and fibula after being tackled hard by cornerback Shaquille Griffin. He was immediately taken off the field and underwent surgery to repair the fracture. The injury was serious and required a lengthy rehabilitation and recovery period, causing him to miss the entire following season. However, after making a full recovery, Hearns returned to the field in 2020 and signed with the Miami Dolphins. Let's talk about another Cowboys player, Dak Prescott. During his 5th season in the NFL, after establishing himself as a pivotal player on the team, Prescott suffered a severe injury that raised concerns about his career. During a game against the New York Giants in the 3rd quarter of play, Prescott ran the ball and attempted to gain some yards. However, when he was tackled, his ankle remained planted and his foot made an unnatural movement. Prescott immediately suffered a compound fracture of his right ankle and fibula. He was taken off the field on a stretcher and underwent emergency surgery to repair the injury. The medical report described the fracture as complex and announced that Prescott would need a long rehabilitation period to fully recover. Those were some of the most terrible injuries we've seen on a football field. What do you think? What's the worst injury you remember? Please leave a like and subscribe to Go to Football.